All right, so if you'd like to start lying down, then just make yourselves really comfortable. So we'll take a little bit of time to settle in. So actually, we'll come onto our backs, and if you would like to have your knees bent for this first part, so it's a breath practice, but I do think perhaps you might feel better with the knees bent. You don't have to, but try it anyway with the knees bent. So we're going to focus more actually on our diaphragmatic breathing than breathing really low into the belly. So if you bring one hand onto the lower belly and then one hand onto the diaphragm, so where the lower ribs are, just coming into the center of that space. And take a really big full breath in, and then a really grounding breath out into the support of the ground, and just do a couple of those. And then just start by breathing into and out from the lower belly. So the breath is very natural. And the way that we're going to breathe this evening, if you can think about breathing in about 3/4 of your lung capacity, and the same on the exhale. So the breath is moving down smoothly, but we're not overdoing it. So avoiding, sometimes it can cause tension if we try to breathe too deeply. So just thinking about inhaling and exhaling about 3/4 of your lung capacity. So it's very soft. And then at the end of the exhale, there's this little pause. So just start to recognize that little pause at the end of the exhale. And then so we'll breathe in for a count of 3, and then breathe out for a count of 6, and then pause for a count of 2, and see how that feels. Now, if it feels labored in any way, then think about breathing in for 2, breathing out for 4, and just observing the pause. So see if that one of those will probably work quite nicely for you. So you want it to be quite soft and quite natural. So avoiding any tension with the breath. So always working at about 3/4 capacity. So working with quite a quiet breath. So it's more vibratory than auditory. So we're not using, as we do sometimes use a deep ujjayi, we're not using a ujjayi, we're just using quite a quiet, silent breath, so that it's more a vibration that you'll sense with the breath. See if you can relax into the breath. So there's no striving. It's a very comfortable in and out, very comfortable pause. And then at some point, limit the breath so it's not moving right down into the lower belly. Instead, be much more aware of the movement of the diaphragm. So now the orientation is towards a very subtle breath, which reduces the amount of carbon dioxide that's realized from the lungs. And just just wanting to emphasize that there's no stress in this at all. So the first priority is really relaxing into that inhale, so breathing in for 3, breathing out for 6, and then that little pause. Just stay with that, so you can use a 2-4 ratio. So inhaling, exhaling, and pause. And then after a while, your body will start to understand this rhythm of breathing. And you'll get to a point where you no longer need to count the breath because the body takes over that exact rhythm. And then the mind isn't focused on the counting. So you just carry on a little bit longer with the count if you need to. So at the point where you let go of the count and then the breath just takes over by itself, the body understands the rhythm and just continues to breathe in that way. And the mind is no longer focusing on the counting, so we're letting the frontal part of the brain focus just on the act of breathing rather than counting. And then we're more aware of the sensations that we experience when we're breathing. Rather than focusing on counting, we can just focus on the breath itself. You might start to notice that the space at the end of the breath starts to feel quite light. It can almost be like there's no desire to breathe. It's just a pause, just a couple of seconds. So you start to become filled with quite a profound sense of ease. And then just take a couple more rounds. And then let the breath return to its natural pace. And then if you would like to, just have a stretch. So don't be in a rush to move. Just take your time. And then so from there, if you would like to come up into seated in your own time, and again, there's no rush, just take your time. Do have a little drink if you would like to. So just coming into a nice seated position. So we're going to practice an energy charging mudra now. And I was actually reading the mudra book the other day, and I noticed that it said that when you're working with, and it didn't say any particular mudra, but just when you're working with mudras in general, and obviously sometimes you can feel quite a quick immediate effect. Sometimes you have to work with mudras over a period of weeks or sometimes months. And you'll sort of gradually notice that they start to work. But one of the things that I found quite interesting and what I actually experienced myself was that it said that when the mudras start to work, if you suddenly feel very tired or you feel quite shivery, then it's an indication that the mudras are working. And I actually had that experience myself and actually thought that perhaps I was a little bit ill, and then realized that I'd been working a lot with the mudras, and then the next day felt quite different. So just for you to bear in mind, really, because we've been working with quite a few different mudras over time, and I know perhaps some of you are working with them at home. It's just to sort of say that really, that it can feel like a negative, but in actual fact it can be a positive. So it's just in case any of you have also had that experience. I did just notice, I've had the book for a long time and I only noticed it the other day when I was reading it. So just a thought really. But this is the energy charging mudra. So we're going to do a little bit of time seated now. So if you find sitting on the floor, becomes troublesome, you can either have your back against a wall, or you could just sit on a chair, or feel free to just transfer to a chair if you've got one handy, just to make sure that you're comfortable throughout. And then, so for this energy charging mudra, so the right hand is the masculine energy, and you make a fist, and then the right thumb is extended upwards, and then the left hand is cupped, so it's like a bowl, so the fingers are together, and then you place that right hand into the left. So thumb extended, and the elbows are just pointing slightly out towards the side. And the hands are just around the level of the abdomen. So balancing the two energies in our body. So this particular mudra, it's useful for tiredness, dissatisfaction, listlessness, depression. So it's very good mudra if we feel drained. And the mudra is said to help no matter where we need the healing. So whatever is the sickness, then it's a useful mudra that we can work with. And then just imagine that your left hand is a mortar and your right hand is a pestle. You can, of course, close your eyes if you wish. And then mentally allow whatever makes you sick or ill to fall like dark pebbles into your left hand. the edge of your right hand. Grind everything into fine dust. And that eventually can be blown away from your hand, just like fine sand. And then allow that healing energy to flow into the bowl formed by the hands, the energy reservoir, and flowing through that right thumb. So balancing the two energies in the body for optimum health and energy, and it can be practiced really as many times a day as you wish, or as long as you want. So there's no limit really with this mudra. And just releasing the hands. Stay with the eyes closed, noticing how you feel. So the next part, it's a tantric meditation, and you could lie down for this if you would like to. So once we've done this meditation, we'll do the practice of Tratak, which is the concentrated gazing. So we'll need to sit for that one, and then we'll see how the time's going, but we can have a little lie down after that, if we haven't already run out of time. So this one, it can be seated, or I think it can be done quite nicely lying down, if you would prefer to lie down. So just coming into that comfortable seated or lying down position. So for this practice, the place that we're breathing into at the center of the chest, and it is measured quite exactly in the tantric practice, and it's 3/5. So from underneath the tip of your nose, it's 1, 2, and then 3. And then if you bring the hand flat, where the thumb lands, so that's the place that you're breathing into. And then from there, if you make that fist again, it's 1, 2, 3, outwards. And then where the little finger is, that's the space, that's as far out that you're breathing out into. Okay. So if you just think about it as the center of the chest that you're breathing into, and then 3 fists out, that's the space that you're breathing out to. And then just take a moment to close your eyes. So as you can see, this can be done also quite successfully lying down once you know the spaces that we're working from. Just be aware of the center of the chest. So that you're breathing into that space and then breathing out into that space in front of you. So eyes could be closed, or you could drop your gaze if you prefer. Just allowing that breath to be steady and smooth. So allowing the inhale to move towards the center of the chest. And then the exhale moving away from the place at the center of the chest and into the space ahead of you. So really central to this practice of Tantra is the idea of non-resistance. So not resisting anything at all. So it's the same smooth breath. Again, it's about 3/4 capacity of your lungs. So silent, vibrational breath that we were practicing. Stay with that. So concentrating the mind on the movement of the breath into the body at the center of the chest. And then away from the body. That place 3/5 outwards into that space. You might notice that there's a real sense of expansion with the in-breath. A real awareness of the physical body and the sensations within the physical body. And the breath out, a very soothing, smooth, releasing breath. Which allows you to merge away from the body and towards consciousness and the space around you. So the in-breath brings you sensations and awareness of the body. And the exhale allows you to move away from those sensations out towards space, consciousness. So really central to Tantra is merging and moving into space. Anchoring the breath to become so relaxed that it's barely doing any work. We move away from deep breathing into soft, relaxed, diaphragmatic breathing. Very quiet breath. So we'll slowly start to bring this portion of our practice to a close. So if you're lying down, then again you might want to have a little stretch. I'm just thinking about how you might like to position yourself for the next portion, which is the concentrated gazing. If you're seated, you might just like to have a little move, maybe a stretch or a drink. You might want to reposition yourself. So however you'd like to be. If you're using a candle flame for the practice and it's not already lit, then you might like to light it. Generally speaking, it's not always possible, I know, but if you can have your object or your candle at eye level, then that's quite helpful, or as close to eye level as you can. You can sometimes just build, even if you've got some books or some blocks, you can just build up whatever you've got really. So you make a nice even surface for your object. So it's also, as well as being good for concentration, boosting memory, it's also one of the cleansing prayers. So it promotes strong, healthy eyes. It's really balancing for the nervous system, relieves depression, anxiety. I can see some of you are doing it already. It's just reminded me to say to you that particularly if you're practicing on a candle flame, that it's helpful that if the room is darkened. So I will actually just turn off this main light here. So it's not too bright for you. So Tritak, it also nourishes the flame at the navel center, promoting vitality and inner health. It's also a really lovely meditation practice. So if we can focus our eyes, we can also focus our minds. So it's quite a straightforward practice. So if you're using a candle, then you're gazing at the still part. So the top of the wick, there'll be a still part. So if you gaze upon that, or if you're gazing upon an object or a crystal, you can just find an area of that object for your concentrated gazing. So it's quite a soft gaze. So we gaze at our object or the flame, just gazing steadily until you feel quite an overwhelming desire either to blink, or sometimes the eyes will water, which is why it's a really good cleansing practice for the eyes. And when that happens, you close your eyes and you'll most likely see an after image of your candle flame or your object. And then you gaze at the inner image until that fades, and then you open your eyes again and you do that outward gazing. So it's outward gazing, close the eyes, inward gazing, and that just repeats. So we'll continue in that way. I'll be timekeeper. I've got the clock. We're just taking your time, make sure that you're comfortable, and then we begin the practice. So the breath is steady, smooth, even. And then so very slowly from here, we'll just make our way into lying down, just taking your time. So just finding a comfortable position. So making sure that you're warm and that you feel at ease. And then closing your eyes, noticing those points of contact between yourself and the surface upon which you're lying. Noticing that gentle pull of gravity as you settle in. And from that grounded support, let the spine lengthen upwards and grow taller. And just visualize a cord drawing you gently towards the sky. Your forehead and your jaw softening. The neck and your shoulders softening. And bring your awareness to your natural breath, wherever you feel it. Sensation of the breath. And then once you locate that place, center your attention there. And just rest. And hold your attention on the feeling of the breath as you inhale. And hold your attention on the feeling of the breath as you exhale. And continue to drink the breath in. Let the body relax on the exhale. It's like glitter in a snow globe as it softly settles. And on your inhale, drink the breath in. And on the exhale, feel yourself settle. The mind wanders into thoughts, or if any anxiety surfaces, you can disentangle from the habits of worrying or thinking. It's by returning to the present moment, not getting lost in an unknown future. It's so easy to spiral into worry or projections, trying to fix things. So all this, it simply enhances our anxiety. So we train ourselves to come back to the present over and over. And on the inhale, drink the breath in. And on the exhale, feel yourself settle, arriving and settling, arriving and settling. If you wish now, just gently place your hand over your heart. Bring your awareness to the physical sensation of your hand on your heart. Feel yourself safe and grounded. And offer yourself wishes of love and tenderness. And be the grounding source of support that you need. If you would like to, you can also offer those wishes to anyone else who you know needs support at this time. On your inhale, drink the breath in. On your exhale, feel yourself settle. Now gently soften your attention. The state of our world is, of course, a time of anxiety as we move through this period of upheaval and uncertainty. Like a boat on a stormy sea, it's easy to become absorbed by the problems of the world or to shut down and hide away. And so the question is it possible to hold what's happening around us without getting swept away with fear or anger? So in order to stay open and informed about our world, we also need to create space and find grounding. And this is where our practices really support us. So this grounding place where we can allow our emotions to arise and flow through us with kind, compassionate attention. It doesn't mean that it's easy to hold fear and anxiety, but meditation offers us the anchor to ground ourselves amidst the chaos of life. With that stability, we gain more spacious perspective that allows us to more skillfully cope with the pain that we are witness to. If we can settle our minds, we can find wisdom and courage where action can be taken. We can change how we relate to uncertainty, recognizing that it's often our stories and projections that heighten our unfounded fears. And as our meditation practice grows, so does our ability to hold that which feels unholdable. We're better able to find some calm within the chaos, move through the uncertainties of life. So remember, your practice is always here to turn to for refuge. No matter how difficult it may seem at times, it's within you to calm and ground yourself so that your mind is more settled. Your heart is less heavy. And if the ocean can calm itself, so can we. We are both salt water mixed with air. We're both salt water mixed with air. As we close, tune into your body. And again, notice where it connects with the surface beneath you. Just start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. May we connect with strength and compassion for ourselves and others as we navigate through these turbulent times. And be gentle as you navigate through the rest of your week. Taking any further stretches that you need. Just taking your time.